Stuart, I have a question.
Yes,
What to do when um, painful memories come up, painful moments, and it feels like your mind is winning?
that's what the meditation is for, Chris, to build a system in yourself that's strong enough that when these memories do come up, you just let go of them. You don't hang on to them. I mean, look, they are buried inside you, along with how many repressed thoughts and repressed emotions buried inside all of us that have to be released. And when those memories come up, they're being released. If you hold on to them, they just drag them back into you and they'll do damage. But if you just let them go, let them go. What do you've already lived through it. You don't have to live through it again, you know? So I think this, what you just expressed, happens to everybody, Chris. We all
It's
are.
actually Wendy that asked the question.
Wendy, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay.
Okay. Wendy, what what happens to you happens to everybody. I mean, we all have these memories, these angers, these fears, these stupidities that we've done in life, mistakes we've made buried deep inside us. And we need to let go of them. It's part of what the meditation is all about, building a system where those memories don't control you anymore. And when they do come up, instead of getting caught up in all the negativity, have a little gratitude that these things are coming up that are buried deep inside you, and you can let go of them. You can release them. Otherwise, I mean, look, they turn into all kinds of serious problems, physical, mental, emotional problems, these things that we repress inside us. And we need to learn how to let go of them. The first thing Rudy told me is, please help me to open, surrender, and grow spiritually. If you open, all of that's going to come up. That's been buried in there. Then you got to surrender it so that you can grow spiritually. So there's room inside you for higher energy to come and exist, for God to come and live inside you. But until we get free of ourselves, you understand, there's no room for higher energy. I mean, there couldn't be a surface veneer of higher energy that people live with, but I'm talking about the depth of inner work that it takes to truly become enlightened. That's where one has to let go of all that repressed energy because it's keeping it from happening. And what we really want is to become a child of God. Nothing inside. And becoming nothing inside means that everything in the universe can flow through us. All of creative energy can flow through us and guide our lives. Otherwise, we just dam up the flow. We keep it from really working inside us. So when these things come up, one of the best ways to get rid of them is be grateful that they're coming up. Open your heart and just say, thank you for showing me what is blocking my spiritual development and giving me an opportunity to get free of those things instead of getting swept away in them and getting emotional and angry and shuddering about what you did in the past. And and that's a very deep part of this practice, is to get to where you can do what I'm talking about and what you asked about. getting free, as I always say, the one person who keeps all of us from having a spiritual life, ourselves. And that's it's a tough one. Anytime somebody leaves here, people just bounce. They got to find you again. It's really funny. And don't be surprised when these things happen, because you're like drilling for oil inside yourself. You got to go through thousands of feet of bedrock and dirt and this and that, and till you hit pockets of you that need to be released. And there are pockets of joy. It's not just negative things. There's joy. There's, you know, so much stuff that's deep in the unconscious of human beings needs to be released. Help me to open to surrender to grow spiritually. That was Rudy's mantra. You open, it all comes up. You got to surrender it and grow spiritually. I mean, there are a lot of people in life that have a tendency of just living, they're somehow living in the past while they're living in the present. Understand? They don the apparel, the internal apparel of the past, and they're supposed to be living in the now, and they're not. And that's a very, common thing inside people that we need to let go of. Does anyone else have a question? You're
Thank you, Stuart.
welcome. Look, Wendy, you have a lot to be grateful for. Tomorrow's a day of gratitude. Every day should be Thanksgiving. Every single day of our life should be Thanksgiving. You get up in the morning and there's this jewel that is waiting for whole life to teach us what we need to learn to grow. Every day should be Thanksgiving. It shouldn't be just once a year. I'm not saying we should eat turkey every day, but just our hearts open with thanksgiving for the gift of life and the opportunity to use that gift of life, to nurture the soul to where it becomes one with God. Does anyone else have a question? Questions are great. Anyone have a question?
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes, Bob.
Can you talk more about being nothing inside?
Being not where?
Being nothing. You spoke earlier about being nothing inside.
Well, nothing is in our modern day terminology, nothing is something that scares the hell out of people. I mean, I gotta be nothing. All our lives we're taught we gotta be something. Make something out of yourself. Young man, young woman, make something out of your life. And when I talk about nothing, it really has nothing to do with any of that. You know, What it has to do with is the surrendering of ego, self-importance, or the rightness in our mind, having to constantly be better than everybody else, constantly being either imperious or belittled by life. Arriving in a state where we're free of ourselves, we have attained an internal state of nothingness. That nothingness is no longer a block. It no longer dams up the river of Shakti that flows through the chakra system and allows us to truly experience a connection with higher energy in the universe. So it doesn't mean you're not successful in life. It doesn't mean you don't, have success, money, and marriage, and relationships, and all the wonderful things that life has to offer. Yes, we should have it all, but don't be attached to any of it, because it's all transient. But we should enjoy it, and marinate in it, the wonderment of what life has to offer us, and not feel guilty because of what we do. And you can't do that if you're constantly judging other people, if you're constantly judging yourself, if you're a critic of the world, a critic of everything you do. There has to be this state of, nothingness. It's an inner serenity, an inner peace that allows that higher force, the Shakti, the God, and to flow through us, and it guides our life, not our ego, who we think we are. Whatever we think we are, whatever is our ego, is all transient. One day it's no longer, it doesn't exist anymore. And we have to be free of that in order to be guided by what's infinite in the universe, God, letting the soul inside us be nurtured by higher energy in the universe. And you can't get that nurturing if you're full of yourself. Frankly, people that are full of themselves, if you pardon my Bronxies, they're just full of shit. And I really mean that, their ego, just weighs itself on not only themselves, but everybody else. And it's almost impossible to feel an open heart and love and that inner peace and quiet, which is so important to live with in the kind of world that we exist in today. So it takes a state of nothingness. And by nothingness, I mean a state of getting free of oneself, ego, tension, the tension in people consumes them. And by nothing, I don't mean not living a wonderful life, being able to enjoy all the fruits of life, what life has to offer us, not being afraid of success, not being afraid of having relationship with somebody, and enjoying it and opening to one's karma. And instead of being upset and angry with one's karma, be grateful for your karma. It is bringing into your life opportunities to grow and to get closer to God. I mean, Rudy always said it's not to have things, it's to have things, but things don't have you. You have success, and it doesn't have you. What has you is your connection with God.
Okay.
Stuart, I have a question.
Yes,
I am new to this path and I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.
you're welcome.
So letting go of all of the things inside that bubble up that we are not. Have you experienced that it creates a detachment to life? I mean, when I was younger, I was so enthralled with life, wanted to experience everything. And these days, the stillness is more nourishing. I really don't want to get too involved in so many things.
Stefan, one is not in opposition to the other. You could be in a crowd of people, and if you're, please try and sit still, everybody. You know, people are moving, it disrupts the class. If you can be in a huge crowd of people, you can be busy tonight, but if you're focused and centered inside, and your heart is open, your mind is quiet, your emotions aren't running crazy, and there really is an inner peace, you can live actively in the world and not feel like the world is taking your life away from you. I mean, I know in my life, my God, I don't even know how I did it when I was younger. I really mean this. Teaching in ashrams all over the world, running a business, having to go to India 4 times a year in order to do my business. I mean, it was unbelievable. I couldn't think about it. And I would say to myself, Stuart, the only thing you can do to survive this is to get connected to God, to build a system inside yourself that is so strong that none of this will take it away from you. I mean, well, you didn't know me. Well, Chris knows. She used to work for me, for God's sake. You know?
Yeah.
And what it was like, what that store was like. I'd be doing healings with somebody and selling Buddhas with my right hand, you know? And it was unbelievable what used to go on there. You know? Having meditation classes and people and questions. And meanwhile, I'm running a business. I have a business I got to run. Because the rent is due, and it's costing me $15,000 a month in order to run an ashram. I have to make money. And I realized the only way I could survive that is that I needed to get to God. It was telling me, get stronger, Stuart. Get stronger. And live an active life. What's wrong with living an active? I mean, I can't do it as much. I'm not, 40 years old anymore. But it's still, there. My God, I just got a passion for rugs. I've been buying rugs lately, beautiful rugs. The apartment has become fabulous, a great place to come home to. Ask Jennifer, it's extraordinary. And it just brings joy. Am I attached to the rugs? No, I'm going to stick them in an auction someday, sell them, and be able to continue to live my life. But while it's going on, I'm really enjoying whatever it is that I'm doing. And again, I can't do what I used to do. We're going to Nepal, going to Greece, going to Paris, doing tours of the world 4 times a year, teaching meditation, running an ashram in New York. I had 150 people studying with me. It was crazy. If I thought about it for 5 minutes, I would have run away from it probably. I said, what is it? You're out of your mind, Stuart. Meanwhile, it got me closer and closer to a state where spiritual enlightenment became possible. I had no choice but to do that, just for my own survival. So one is not in opposition to the other. You understand? These are not contradictory elements. They work together. And as you build that kind of system in yourself, went last night, a friend of mine had a reading of a book. We drove into New York. The traffic was horrible getting in there, but finally got there and he read, and a bunch of people there, a lot of Brazilians. The place was full of Brazilians.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And yet, at the same time, I live a much quieter life than I used to. Much, and much less. But when I was doing that other, I needed to do it. I needed to do it because it was making me grow. Because the only way I could do it was I get my connection with higher energy had to get deeper and deeper. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, as I announced, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and I'm going to take a day off. I need a little bit of a rest. I've been teach these classes, most of it in 7 days, 7 times a week. I do this, and it's a lot of work. It's really a lot of work. So I'm going to take a day tomorrow, Thanksgiving, and just have a quiet day. And I'm not upset about doing this work. I think it's a great blessing that this is my karma to do this. Extraordinary. Extraordinary thing. And in order to do it, my life has to get simpler and simpler. Inside, not externally, but inside, I have to get simpler and simpler. So there won't be class tomorrow, but there will be class on Sunday. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, thank you. Look, let's make it every day a day of Thanksgiving. Okay? Let's not forget, get up in the morning and think, today is a day of Thanksgiving. I don't have to wait once a year to do this. Every day is sacred. Okay, God bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Good night.
Love you, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanksgiving.
Love you. See ya.